Hi everyone, just as this is the last chatting shit this month, just a quick reminder that any bloopers, outtakes, etc. Will be on the Patreon channel this month. Again, that's not money I keep; it's money I will be donating to the charity I work for. And there's more information about that in the description. I'll probably do that at the end of the month. Put the bloopers video up because there'll be more videos that I'll do throughout the month, I guess. So yeah, it'll contain bloopers from all that as well. So if you enjoyed the last one and want to check it out, please do so.
Hello and welcome to what is the fifth and definitely the final chatting shit of the Prismatic Cup. My name's Matt. I am on this channel occasionally, and tonight I'm joined by Aaron, who's also on this channel occasionally, and two new faces to hear, David and Amanda. How is everyone?
Doing well.
Thanks for having us on.
Good. Aaron, you've been on plenty of times. We know about you. David, Amanda, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Amanda.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi, my name is Amanda. Also known as Professor Lundberger. I work for the channel My PvP Academia. So I do a lot of the video editing there, and also been pretty active in Silph battles, and kind of a recent okay-ish person at GBL, but it's not really my focus, nor do I really care that much. So.
We'd love to hear it. Number one in Belgium on Silph, right?
Number one in Belgium as of now. I'm competing a lot with this other guy, Basics, and also Kepkilika, but he's kind of taking it easy this season.
Good to hear. David?
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Matt. Yeah, David, also known as Velociraptor in the game. I am based in Teesside. Yeah, there's not a massive PvP scene up in the northeast, to be honest. So mainly have been doing most of the Go Stadium and EPL tournaments and things until recently. Yeah, joined some of the local, UK Silph group. So yeah, enjoying it.
Stuff. Do these things in PvP rank order. So you're up first tonight with something that's perhaps gone under the radar a bit.
Oh yeah, so my pick is so I'm a first time caller but long time listener, so I'll try and get this right. Potex number 652, which is the spiny armor Pokemon, Chesnaught. And I actually, I agree, Matt. I think gone under the radar a little bit. So it's actually rank 3 overall in Prismatic Cup, also third out of the green and black picks. And it does everything that you want like a grass type to do, so beats all the water types. Actually does pretty good against the other grass types as well because of its fighting typing, apart from obviously Whimsicott, which it gets nailed by. But and if anyone's running not Venusaur, obviously, he's Venusaur's little brother, which I can't remember its name of.
Ivysaur.
Yeah, Ivysaur. If anyone's running that, obviously it doesn't do too well again. Doesn't want to take a sludge bomb, but otherwise it beats the other grasses. It actually has quite a good, with superpower, it has quite a good get out even in a bad matchup. You can throw those, you can stack them back to back a lot of the time, and its win rate overall isn't amazing. Its win rate is like about 60% in the one shield if you're running kind of standard Vine Whip as your fast move. But where I think it has probably more play is running Smackdown. So I had it in my team initially with Vine Whip because just for coverage, and I found myself I wasn't bringing it very often. I was just it looked good on paper, but actually it just was sat on the bench a lot of the time. And then I switched to Smackdown, and since then I've been using it loads, and it's great. so I think there's lots of advantages to playing it that way. One is that often people don't even know, even though it's it's not the most popular pick, people might not even realize that it has SmackDown. I've had loads. So today I did a battle in the Scottish Silph League. Oh no, actually it was I can't remember what. It doesn't matter what tournament it was in. And somebody switched Dragonite into it.
Yes.
And it just got demolished. People have switched Talonflame into it. You just shield once and come out with a ton of energy. So often, so I've got another grass in my team as well. So people aren't expecting to have to bring 2 grass counters. And if you safe swap your Chesnaught, they swap in your grass counter, then that's quite a nice tactic as well to play. So I think like the team building and the mind games dynamics of it can be quite interesting as well. And there aren't that many Pokemon out there that have that kind of more, I guess, Hypno with the punches, but like that kind of unpredictability, or that caught me off guard a little bit. So yeah, I think that, I mean, and even with SmackDown, it still beats Lantern, still beats Quag, still can beat Flygon, still beats Snorlax with superpower. So the overall win rate does go down a little bit. So in the one shield you go to about 56%, but loads of that stuff is not things that you need to worry about, overall I think like you end up losing to Dugong, which you would have won if you had Vine Whip, which might be important sometimes, but to be honest, I've not hardly seen any Dugong so far. So,
and I guess the thing with the Dugong matchup is, if you're against the Dugong, it means you're not against the Hypno. So it's going to be an improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is one key thing is, obviously you need to work your team around it. So Hypno, deletes it. Whimsicott deletes it. Although if you are running Vine Whip, maybe you're not gonna win in a straight fight, but you just get Gyro Ball as well. So if you want to put that as a second move and maybe surprise a Whimsicott, might happen. I'm not sure it's worth it, but there's options.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of them where it's as you say, between the SmackDown and the Vine Whip, it can play completely differently, and that has so much value. Like there's not many Pokemon like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I found that it's real, really coming to its own, is that kind of unpredictability and that that it can play so differently to how your opponent's expecting it to play.
Yeah, that has serious value, and as you say, like building your team around it can influence that. And I think double grass is interesting here in general.
So I've got Shiftry, and which obviously can beat Hypno quite comfortably. And I've run them both together a few times actually. I'm trying to think what you need to look out for. Even things like Drifblim. You what? Sorry.
Whimsicott. You're like, what do I need to look out for?
You have to watch out for Whimsicott. You're right. Yeah. So I've got Probo as well, and Talonflame. So I kind of trying to put off people bringing Whimsicott. And people don't think you're crazy enough to bring 2 grass types weak to Whimsicott if you've got. But even things like Drifblim, it ties with Drifblim if it has Smackdown in the one shield, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's good going.
Yeah, Blaziken, so you can double shield and come out with a stack load of energy and beat it if it's running counter. Jumpluff, you can beat Jumpluff.
Wow.
In the one shield. It's crazy. You need to bait with an energy ball so that you don't debuff yourself. Yeah. So you don't debuff, but you I mean, if they don't shield, you win you shield once and win. If they do shield, you win you haven't debuffed yourself and you throw the superpower and win. So it's one of those where you need to kind of know what, I mean, not that I necessarily know what I'm doing, but you need to know a little bit what you're doing, and but I think it has a lot of play.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron, what do you reckon, mate?
I think with SmackDown it is very, very similar to Cradily. Obviously, you trade in fast move damage for charge move damage, but obviously you're picking up Talonflame, which they both do. I think that obviously with Hypno being everywhere, it's why I've gone Cradily over it, but I don't pick up Drifloon and I don't pick up Blaziken at all. And not many people know that it's got Smackdown. I think if you are running Smackdown, I might look at like Gyro Ball, Energy Ball, because you're not going to be beating anything that you need the fighting move for if you're running Smackdown and Superpower. You're probably not going to get to 2.
Yeah, apart from Cradily.
Like Snorlax should be beating you if you've got Smackdown, but you're not there for that. You're there for the flyers and that like surprise.
Yeah, I mean, you pick up. To be fair, with it's only actually 5 Smackdowns to a Superpower, because Smackdown charges quicker than you think. It's 8 energy, and the Superpower's only 40 and 40 energy. So often you can stack back to back, and against things like against Snorlax, against Cradily, you can really hurt them. Or if you store up a load of energy and then fast move something down, there's not really much that wants to, maybe Drifloon doesn't care taking 2 superpowers, but there isn't much that doesn't care taking 2 superpowers.
Yeah, stab as well, which is always a nice boost. Yeah, because I used I know it's a long time ago now, but that I hate to bring up Cataclysm Cup because I try and avoid talking about it as much as I can. But I used one of the highlights, the only highlight that month was getting to use Rhyperior, which was Smackdown superpower, and yeah, I can confirm it does charge faster than most people assume it's going to.
Yeah, definitely.
It catches people off guard for sure. What I really liked about it, in theory, was the condensing of the role of a fighting type and a grass type. Personally, I think I prefer the look of the Vine Whip set because of the sort of faster access to the fighting damage. But the fact that there's 2 so distinct ways of running it, it's a completely different set of counters, isn't it? It's like, I suppose Whimsicott has that sort of potential with Charm or Razor Leaf. Perhaps not to, there's a lot of crossover there with Poison and Fire, isn't there? But yeah, there's. Yeah, and if your opponent, as you say, if your opponent brings one thing expecting it to beat it, relies on that thing, and then you're whipping out the Smackdown, that's gonna completely upset their line of if they brought something to safe swap or that's.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's true because like most Chesnaughts are not running Smackdown. So if you swap in a Chesnaught and you have a Talonflame, and you know how quick people swap because they want to be immediate, they don't want people to get in any extra moves, and so they're going to immediately swap in their Talonflame, and then they're going to get wrecked. And so it at least now that people know that this is a possibility, people will have to wait at least to see what the first move is.
Yeah, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot massively here.
Tell me more about your team and all the charge moves that you're using. What moves are you using on your Hypno?
Cool. Well, unless anyone's got any sort of closing thoughts on that, I think it's probably a nice transition into Aaron's pick. No, fire away then, Aaron, mate.
Okay, so it's Cradily, Pokedex number 346, the Barnacle Pokemon, and it just like with my team, I've been struggling for this slot that Cradily's in. I can't remember which. I think it's like the grey one, is it?
Isn't it green?
It's the slot 4. It's in slot 4, isn't it?
Yeah, green and green black.
I've not been able to find a good pick in there at all. I tried Breloom, which obviously is quite similar to Chesnaught, but obviously the counter damage really helps it out against like Ferrothorn, and then obviously if you like somebody's running like Quag, a dark type, you're picking up a lot of matchups there, but it's just so soft. With Cradily, it's a lot more tanky, it's really bulky, and you pick up Talonflame and Hypno if Hypno is running obviously Thunder. It's like Hypno's move dependent. Fire Punch you lose, Ice Punch is very close, Thunder Punch, Shadow Ball is they have to land the Shadow Ball in like the 1s and 2s, and then in the 0s I think you can just edge it because you can tank 1 Shadow Ball.
Sounds about
But there's
right.
not much really running about that really threatens you. You know, you beat Talonflame. There's not many fighters. The anti-grasses are all going to be hitting you fairly soft. You know, Blaziken's probably your biggest threat. Quagsire's on most teams. You know, with the way this meta is, with everyone having to pick one of their blue picks, it's almost always going to have one water type on every team. So that's an instant win there. Talonflame is like 95% of the red picks that I've seen. So that's instantly 2 Pokemon that you absolutely demolish. You can go straight Stone Edge versus Talonflame in the 1s and 0s. In the 2s, I think you have to bait once, which is like, you know, similar to Toxie-Azu. You're always favouring the Toxie in that matchup because you just need one bait and then you can straight Sludge Bomb. But
Yeah.
I've not really tested it as much as I'd like to, but it does have so much potential. Like with an energy lead, because obviously if they see grass, go to Talonflame, you're already winning that.
Yeah.
So then you can farm up a bit more, come out with energy, and then Hypno comes in. It's not going to want to take a Stone Edge.
No, for sure.
And I've also paired it with Shiftry, just like David's done with Chesnaught, because they pair so well. Because nobody wants to face double grass in this meta because of how it plays. I think Drifblim is one of the only thing that can really threaten that with Icy Wind, but Shiftry takes care of that in even shields and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really not seeing much in the usage, like in terms of the usage stats, that really threatens it. I know Quag's high, I know Lantern's high, Hypno's up there, Talonflame's up there. All of them are easy wins. Probopass depends on their moves. You know, if they're not running Magnet Bomb, that's a fairly even matchup. I can't remember what else is there that high up. I'll just have a look. Yeah, usage-wise. Yeah, top 6 are Hypno, Talonflame, Lantern, Shiftry, Quag, and Drifblim. You take Shiftry insanely low, because obviously you're neutral to everything it's throwing. You beat the other
horrendous versus any of it, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Everything's either farmable or you're winning.
Yeah.
I think Whimsicott, you know, you're not, unless it's in the 2s, you're still going to land a Stone Edge, and then you can farm that down. Snorlax is interesting because obviously they have to land the superpower, and their body slams are resisted. So like if they bait and don't land it, you win in that.
Sure.
And everything below that, obviously with Ferrothorn knocking about, it's a bit risky. But if you set your team up right, you know, 3 counters to Ferrothorn and a Cradily, they're gonna have to really consider where they put that Ferrothorn.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it has a really I don't think it's been used much at all, if at all. But it's always like overlooked, I find, in certain metas.
Do you know what? I was really surprised. One of the first things you said was that you were struggling to find a decent pick in that slot you liked. I don't know what Amanda and David think to this, but personally, like, there's so many of this. There's so many in that slot that I want. I'm really surprised to hear that.
It's like that was the slot that it's like, could I just pick 3 from that slot?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I was the same. I was like, that was the slot I initially went. I didn't want to go with Chesnaught because of the other good picks in that slot. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it almost has too much potential that you sort of decide your entire team around that slot. And when you do that, you leave yourself open, and I don't like to do that. I like to have a full balance with each pick. But so obviously if you're picking Snorlax, you can't have something else weak to fighting on your team, because then you're leaving yourself very open.
I've got 2 other things weak to fighting. I hate it. I hate it.
Cradily and Shiftry both weak to fighting.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah. So are you less keen on bringing the 2 grasses to the same match as David is there, presumably?
I think it's you either bring them once and then never again in that round, or you bring them every game,
right,
and hope. But the thing is, with the main weakness being fighting, there's Blaziken. Snorlax is carrying superpower. There's not much else. I mean, there's a couple of Sudowoodos around, but you pick up Sudowoodo as the grass types. So there's not much fighting, but still, it is a worry.
Yeah. So there's obviously a bit of crossover there with Chesnaught, particularly the SmackDown set. What do you reckon, David? Any?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they probably play quite similar in their grass, and their main threat is the rock type damage, and I think rock type damage is really good here. And like you say, I think they do probably have quite similar coverage, and there's always that potential for someone to like swap in, the Talonflame, and then just get mauled. So yeah, I think I quite like it. I never thought of it actually before, but yeah, it probably is a bit bulky. I mean, Chesnaught's not like squishy. Its stat product's around like 1900, but yeah, it's not Cradily's bulk. So yeah, I think it sounds good.
Yeah, and Amanda, I guess you're probably in a similar camp to me, where the strength of man's in that squad, in that slot, like presumably, and I must admit, I haven't looked at Cradily at all. There was a brief moment where I looked at Chesnaught, but any either of these mons caught your eye, or was it no?
No, I have to say, since the green slot was more my top pick, like Arizona was saying, where it's like, well, I mean, do you want to sacrifice, because it's kind of spice, I mean, so it's like you're gonna try to find spice somewhere on your team. That's almost guaranteed with this cup.
Yeah.
But is this really the slot that you want to find it in?
Yeah, I was similar. I felt similar to you, Amanda. That's why I was really reluctant to bring Chesnaught because of that reason. But then, similar to you, Aaron, I kind of felt like, well, I want to build. I started thinking about the team rather than thinking about which pick I specifically want from that slot. And when I did that, that's when it fell into place, really. So I think it's very much dependent on what you've got in the rest of your team. Obviously, that's like, team building 101, but I think it's definitely true when you're picking that green slot.
I do wonder whether I've missed a trick here, because I mean, as Aaron was saying, like, if that's the slot you're sort of looking towards the end, like there is a lot of variety in that slot of good picks. Like you, like a lot of the time when I've been playing with teams, I've found myself needing like a very specific sort of combination of things from a very specific slot, and that option just isn't there, and so you have to compromise somewhere. Whereas because of the strength of in depth of ones in that slot, perhaps it is a good one. It is a good one to lose to late for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the blue slots, you're picking like water damage or water type mons. For the red, you're picking fire. So I think you're right there, actually, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, could be a shout. And what I like about it as well, and you sort of alluded to Sudowoodo as well, briefly, that sort of set it off. Like in previous cups, we've seen Cradily play as a bit of a sort of safe swap sort of thing. What I think is interesting here is I quite like the idea of something like Sudowoodo and Cradily in the lead, because not only do they beat Talonflame leads, but they're the sort of things where if you're switching them into a Talonflame, like they're not necessarily the sort of thing they're not hard Talonflame counters. So you perhaps wouldn't be keen on switching them in, but if you lead them, you're beating the Talonflame lead and you're stopping the Talonflame safe swap. And when you sort of consider the other things that do that to Talonflame, it's sort of water types or Probo Pass, isn't it, really? And sort of, with that shared weakness of grass. I mean, I appreciate Cradily isn't awesome against grass. Sudowoodo's weak to it, but they're a damn sight better than Quagsire, that sort of thing. So,
yeah. And Cradily's carrying Stone Edge, which gets stabbed, and it's a Shadow Ball clone. So nothing is going to want to take that plus a Grass Knot.
Yeah,
you're going to be taking shields wherever you are.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much that really walls it, like a Lowland Sand Slash maybe, but how many of them are you going to see over the course of a month?
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe
it's
one
true.
or two.
And the county, and again, with the counter weakness, there's not many about, actually. I'm surprised that there's so few counter users knocking about. So it's the sort of thing with the ranking system the way it is now. You could build your team that way and just almost gamble. You know, you've got 6 chances of getting a 10x. Like if you could just gamble on not seeing a counter user. So that's kind of what my strategy is a little bit this month, to be honest. But you know, not going well so far. It's 0 for 1, but yeah, there's certainly some play there. And as you say, nothing's going to want to take a stone edge. Like even if Blaziken swaps in, if it's a bit slow, that ain't having a stone edge, is it?
Nah. And you could probably take a Blaze Kick because it's neutral, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I reckon so.
So,
yeah, and actually, it's not very many bullet seeds either, is it? To the second stone edge, if you overcharge a little bit on the first one, the second one comes like quick, like it, you know, it's like 5 and then 4, isn't it? So it's fast, you know. It's not as if it's taking forever to get to them.
Yeah, and now with the Sky Attack nerf, it now beats Noctowl in all even shields and in the 0s, 1s.
Oh wow!
Which I'm assuming there's something going on there with like energy and stuff. You know, they'll probably die with a move ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, they died just short of a move, and you're on like 6 XP. So you go Grassnot. Obviously, they shield one of them, and then you Stone Edge them.
Sure.
And that's it. That's lights out.
Fair.
That's a ridiculous stat because Noctowl's bulky.
Yeah. Like even you know, not much, but it's going to be Noctowl down a shield. Like, yeah. Because between flying's a nice offensive type, and so you've got to either, unless you're walling it hard, like something like bronze, like Promo Pass. But cool. Well, any final thoughts on Cradily?
You know, like I said, like it was never high on my list, but now that we're kind of going over all these neutral-ish matchups, it's like, okay, maybe I need to rethink my team a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to lose. So if with Hypno, if it's running Ice Punch, it looks like it loses that as well. Pretty. Is that right, Aaron? Or...
I'll just run the sim again because obviously Hypno has a million movesets it could run this month.
Yeah.
If it loses to the Fire Punch one, it'll lose to the Ice Punch one.
It must be the same, surely. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both. No, I think because Fire Punch is neutral.
Yeah.
Ice Punch is obviously going to be its best move against it. But I've looked at Hypno with Ice Punch, and if you're running Ice Punch, you're sacrificing a lot because you can't run. You can't run Thunder Punch because then you get walled by Ferrothorn, which is knocking about quite a lot. Even though the Ice Punch is like neutral, it's still just not enough. So I don't think there'll be many Ice Punch about. I think there'll be Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Shadow Ball as the standard set.
Yeah, dropping Shadow Ball as well for the mirror puts you in a world.
Yeah. With Ice Punch, you lose with a Grass Not Ready. So if you have a 1 bullet seed advantage, you win that in the 1s, and that's them going straight Ice Punch. And then obviously the 0s and 2s, I don't think you're going to be able to flip that without a lot of energy.
No.
But against Thunder Punch, they have to land the Shadow Ball, and they have to bait. They can't go straight Shadow Ball unless they've got like a rank 1.
Okay, well during the break, I've gone away and I've Googled the important information about my pick, which is Pokédex number 350. The Tender Pokemon, which is said to be the most beautiful Pokemon there is, right? So don't get any false illusions about it being rubbish because it's Milotic. A few different things to say about this. Like David's alluded to it a couple of times. The blue slot feels like the water slot, and on a lot of teams it is. You know, there's choices there. Lantern, Quagsire, Castform, Gyarados, Kingdra. I really like Marshtomp. I'm running Marshtomp, and I'm sure I'll talk about that another day. But they're all sort of much of a muchness. Like they all have slight niches and slight variations, but they're all there to do the one thing, and that's to beat Talonflame. And at the same time, we spoke about grasses a lot this episode and how grasses are quite popular, because of you can get a good one in most slots. You can be left with one of three different slots open. You can pick up Whimsicott, Cradily, Shiftry, Ferrothorn. There's so much choice there. Water type is less so. Like if you're not taking a water type out of your blue slot, you could take Crawdaunt from slot 2. Jay'd be upset if I didn't mention that. So you could take Crawdaunt from slot 2. You could take Quillfish from slot 6, which is one of my favourites, of course. But beyond that, he's sort of struggling. And I looked at sort of slot 5, I think Milotic's in, as being, there's quite a lot of options in slot 5 which do their jobs well, like Shiftry, Dragonite, Noctowl, Hitmontop, all sort of do their thing quite well. So you'll be losing a little bit by not being able to pick one of them. But Milotic does the water job as well as anything else. And what it allows you to do is take the Lucario from the blue slot, which, we're seeing the top 2 things in the meta are Talonflame and Hypno in terms of usage. Obviously the steel type's not helping you versus Talonflame, but being able to pick up Hypno with Lucario is pretty big. And a lot of the good stuff here, certainly it's feeling to me like a lot of the stuff that's coming up as being nice and versatile is counter weak. So it's a nice way of squeezing the counter user in without being weak to Hypno, having Lucario there. Now, without wanting to focus too much on Lucario, what Milotic can do is it's got a bit of the Chesnaught factor about it in terms of the 2 different fast moves. It's got Waterfall and Dragon Tail, neither of which are amazing on the face of it, but 2 very different things. Waterfall allows you to just completely farm down Talonflame. You can tank a Brave Bird, just Waterfall down and throw a Surf at something. It's like, even if it's resisted, it doesn't matter. You've done your job. You've got bugger all health left. Like, you're not going to get farmed, so it's sort of fine. Dragon Tail, you sort of go blow for blow with it. To people sort of fairly recent to PvP, you might not have used or seen a Dragon Tail user. For those of us who have been playing a while, will know that Steelix back in the day was an absolute monster. Before about 500 different steel types came out classed it. Steelix ran Dragon Tail. It's 3 damage per second, 3.3 energy per second. So it's not an awful move by any means. It's the same as Fire Spin and Ice Shard, which we see on things like Lapras and a lot of Marowak. So it does the job. Obviously, it doesn't got stab. But what running Dragon Tail does gives you the niche against the dragons, which none of the other water types can do. So you beat Dragonite in the 0s, and you beat it in the 2s. You can double shield Dragon Tail through and then throw Surfs at stuff. Or you could run Blizzard, or you could save a Blizzard up. And what's nice about Blizzard is that with a 1 Dragon Tail lead, or indeed a 2 Waterfall lead, you beat Whimsicott in the 0s because you've got the Blizzard nuke before you can get farmed down, or before they can get to a charge move. There's some similarities with Gyarados in the fact that it's a dragon type sort of fast move while not being a dragon user, but Gyarados' charge moves are sort of completely walled by Whimsicott. So
yeah, Gyarados gets hammered by Whimsicott. That sounds quite good that it's got a bit of play against it.
Yeah, and I practiced with it once and I quite liked it. I ran Hyper Beam just because.
Why not?
Yeah, like I felt like if I could get away with Hyper Beam, I'd rather run Hyper Beam, just because
if you get to a Hyper Beam, you have to throw it. It's like it doesn't matter what you're against. If it's a Ghost type, you still have to throw it. If you're getting there, you've got to be throwing it. Yeah. Yeah,
I got to. I played it against Mystic Gas, and it was up against his Cherrim, and he got to like 20. He got like 20% health left. I was like, right, the most unnecessary Hyper Beam ever, but it was fun. Yeah, I thought if I could get away with Hyper Beam, I would. However, Blizzard, I think, is the way to go. The other move is Surf as well, which is perhaps another move people might not be familiar with because it's not Hydro Cannon and it's not Weather Ball. It's 40 energy for 65 damage, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Like Discharge is 65 energy the same, and that's 45 energy, not 40. So it's more energy efficient than Discharge, which we're all quite familiar with. And and are quite comfortable with using as a decent move. So it's
before Hydro Cannon, it was like the good water type fast move.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just because it's been outclassed, it doesn't mean it's bad. All of a sudden, it's still good. It's still usable. It still does the job. And with Energy Ball, with Dragon Tail doing 10, getting your 10 energies, you get into them as fast as Lapras is. Like it's the same. You're charging in at the same rate as Lapras. So that's about it really. Like it does the water type job with the niches of picking up the dragons. You're not walled by the grasses because you've got the big hit. I think you can pick up Shiftry and Zeros with 2 Dragon Tails, which is 6 turns. It's not unachievable. If you're switching into something like a Talonflame and they're caught in the animation and they've got to sit through 5 turns of Incinerate before they switch the Shiftry in, you can take a shield there. So there's it's got play there, and as I say, allowing if you have, as the meta develops, I think we might see more counter users, but and personally I think Lucario might be the one to go for because of the Hypno matchup. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. Bit of an interesting one, but I quite like it. What's anyone got any thoughts?
First of all, Aaron, I have to apologize for calling yours a spice pick. Because we were discussing earlier, I'd never in a million years would have thought. Plus, there's also a barrier to entry because you have to walk quite a distance with it, right, to be able to evolve. So someone who's just now thinking that maybe it's a good pick, it's maybe a little bit too late for them that to.
Yeah.
But I do like your point, and I like the idea of running Dragon Tails because it's like, not anything people would think about.
Yeah, it's just one of those moves that people just look at, haven't used before, so therefore assume it's just crap. But in actual fact, it's just not quite as good as Dragon Breath. Like that's
right, yeah.
It's still solid.
I think I'm guessing it picks up Flygon. Like it should be Annihilate in Flygon, shouldn't it? Which seems to be becoming a bit more common.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
So that's quite big because most of the waters don't, or at least struggle versus it, because you're going neutral against each other, and Flygon's a glass cannon.
Yeah, so Flygon wins zeros, but it's close. Then Milotic picks up 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
Milotic's pretty bulky as well, yeah.
Yeah, so this overall stat products, the default one is saying 1953, so some sort of similar to your Chesnaught, I guess. Again, like there's a lot of comparisons there. But
that's interesting that you were saying you like it because it frees up slot 1 for a fighting type Lucario. That is interesting.
I think what I should preface that by saying, Hitmontop's in Milotic slot, so you could very well just run a fighting type for a Milotic slot and then a different water type. But it's very much about Lucario here, because I know Aaron and David, you both played back in Kingdom Cup, I believe.
Yeah.
Amanda, I don't know whether you've been playing that long.
I've been since Boulder, baby.
Yeah, cool. So we all know just how good a Lucario with a nice matchup and a bit of energy can be.
But another good matchup with it, if it's running the waterfall variant, is Escavalier, which kind of serves the same purpose as Lucario, so it can handle Hypnos just as decently. And also, I think the waterfall damage is going to be very heavy against it, being the steel typing.
Yeah, waterfall is one of those nice chunky moves, isn't it? Where, it's obviously not to the same extent as Charm and Raise Leaf, but if you double shielding something, there's a strong likelihood that with waterfall you're gonna power through it with just the fast move damage, unless it's something really bulky. I think Waterfall's a bit slower energy gain than Dragon Tail, but again, because Surf's pretty cheap, you know, you get into him quite fast. Well, it's Empoleon. Like, if anyone plays Ultra League, I'm sure you'll have seen a lot of Empoleon with waterfall Hydro Cannon. So you know that is that sort of speed.
I think they might be the same energy. They 10 energy each, maybe. I think.
Might be.
It's 9 on waterfall, isn't it?
Is it 9? 9 and 10 then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it feels like 9 because it's definitely 5 to a Hydro Cannon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then obviously waterfalls has the harder hitting damage and the stuff. So
it's still 5. Still 5. Oh no, 'cause it's 4 to a surf, isn't it then?
yeah, four Dragon Tails.
No, it's 8 on it. Yeah, it's 4 Dragon Tails, 5 waterfalls because it's 10 damage, 8 energy on waterfall.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, you're still getting there in 5, but obviously then you're burning all of that energy. It's quite nice. It lines up very nicely that because you're getting all of your energy, not having any left over.
Yeah.
So it's consistent to the moves.
Yeah. It's. Do you know what? Like the idea. The reason I sort of first thought of this was because actually until before the age of the XL Pokemon, I actually ran Milotic in Master Premier because of the weird sort of courage, and yeah, it's nice Milotic counter can the Blizzard and the Dragon damage for the dragons, sort of fairly safe versus the Snorlaxes and the Togekiss. Like, you know, I had a lot of fun running Milotic in Master League, Master Premier. I just thought, I wonder how well it translates because it's that weird sort of coverage. Like we see it from time to time on a Cavalier and. Trying to think of another example where things have 3 moves and none of them are stab necessarily, and it's just sort of, you know, it's just the sort of perfect storm where things just fit together well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, go on, mate.
It picks up Quag in 2s and 1s, which is, you know, that's like the second most common water type. I think behind Lantern. Yeah, behind Lantern picks up that, and you're picking up Talonflame. It has a real case to be made, I think, as a spice pick. I don't know about Lucario, but that's, it's a glass cannon.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have something tanky to pair with it if you are going to run Lucario.
Yeah.
Which it'll be, I think, with Hypno being by far the most common pick, something that picks it up, and it's a nice one shield matchup.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you win the. I'm assuming you only win the ones with Lucario against Hypno, because I'm guessing you don't KO it in the zeros.
I think you need to bait as well.
Yeah,
is that
I
right?
think you need to bait. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah, you'll definitely. It's power up. It's pop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pop makes everything. It's like Bubble Beam. Your Sims look absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
and then in reality, against high level players, you're not going to be pulling that off.
I wonder if a couple of counters flip that. Yeah, I don't know, but either way, it's something it's got play at least. Whereas the other counter users it just completely.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody wants. There's a lot of pressure there if you've switched your hit, especially if Lucario's got a couple of counters advantage. You don't want to get KO'd, and then So there is a lot of pressure to shield there. So it is definitely something which could come off.
Because it's one of them where if you let the first move through, knowing that you've got a bait to win that, you can then just shield and counter down, and then if your Hypno's dead, what have you got that wants to take on Lucario? Because if you've got Talonflame, you probably switch that in. But it's one of them where it could be a nice one to go. To go shields, to go down shields and gain things.
Or if you think about it already, if the Lucario has already played against something and has been it already did the power up punch once or twice, then that Hypno is definitely afraid because then it will definitely take it out as in the no shield, or if they don't call the bait correctly.
Yeah.
So
I think if you played out that matchup, power up punched once, then farmed down, I think they have to shield because without the power up punch boost, you're doing 70% damage to a Hypno.
That's a lot of damage.
Mad damage, and that's non-stab.
Yeah.
As well. So with a pup, I'm assuming you're putting it at the single-digit HP, surely.
Yeah.
And then with the counters.
I mean, again, just as a side note with Lucario, I haven't looked at it much. I'd be tempted to run close combat over pup. Like, I just think people don't shield Pokemon that know Pup, do they? And if you've definitely not got to a Shadow Ball, what else are you going to be clicking other than Pup? And then you're letting for a close combat. But
don't do that against him, though.
No, okay, I'll not do that. Lesson learned there. That's Milotic, really. Like, it's nothing special as a water type, apart from when I used it in a practice cup, in a couple of practice games. What I found it really useful for was breaking Kingdra and Talonflame cores. Because Kingdra and Talonflame are two mons where they both are very good in the twos, but they sort of pick up the matchups that the others don't get in the twos, if that makes sense. Like, the things that beat Talonflame in twos tend not to beat Kingdra in twos and that sort of thing. And there's not a great, so inherently there's not a great deal that beats them both in twos. Milotic with Dragontail in particular certainly beats Talonflame, and it's sort of Octazooka Beatty debuffy dependent versus Kingdra. So it's about as good as you'll find, really.
Similar reason to why I like Gyarados, actually. I know we've sort of spoke about that before. Similar thing, you know, it picks up those two quite nicely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's the same reason Lantern and Quag are both very popular, is because they can both take on Kingdra in the twos. Octazooka, obviously, if Octazooka goes off, you're losing regardless with most stuff, unless you're a Charmer. And then they take Talonflame really comfortably. Yeah. So that like, but then you're opening up the blue slot as well, like you say. So it is a really, really nice pick if you want it.
And let's not pretend that there's only Lucario there outside of the water types, because there's Tangrowth's seen a bit of usage now as well. So.
Yeah, I've been seeing a climb in that as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's move on to Amanda's pick then, and we have been getting progressively more spicy, but look, this is really something.
This is really something. I don't know. I was thinking that we're just saving the best for last, but also the worst ranked for last.
Yeah.
So we're going with the
to be decided. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going with Pokédex entry number 667, the Lion Cub Pokemon, Litleo, but Litleo XL. So I'm still farming enough candies to see if it's viable. And it's not ranked very high at all. In fact, it's like ranked a number, it's not even the top 150, it's 151. But it picks up Hypno, it picks up Driftbloom, it picks up Shiftry, Ferrothorn, Snorlax, Munchlax, like all, any of the ghost typings, because it's fire and normal. So, I mean, a lot of these things are going to be resisted. And if these are the top meta picks, then it's like, okay, there's maybe some potential play, because a lot of these are probably coming in as safe swaps. So they look at a team and they're like, and I think a lot of people actually maybe would forget that Litleo is double typing. So they just see it as a fire.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they switch in their Hypno, because Hypno is a very good safe swap in this. Then you can switch in your Litleo. It also, like Talonflame, has Flame Charge, takes a lot longer to build up, but yeah, you build up this little lion cub, he's really gonna tear it through.
Yeah.
I have to be, I've tested it in some things, but every person that I've blind tested it against, they're running like a fighter. And so obviously it's not going to do well against fighting. And also it's not going to do well against like a rock throw user or something like that too, because of the fire typing. So it's kind of a bummer in these senses, but it is rather bulky. And I think that it's an interesting pick that people might not know what the moves are that you're going to throw, and can kind of just surprise people with that.
Did you rate it in Nightfall Cup? Because I believe I came on PvP Academica's stream and picked up Pyro in the Nightfall Cup before it was released.
I only thought about it recently because I caught one that is like a pretty high ranking, and so I was like, oh, I wonder if this could be viable for something And then, yeah, I saw that it wasn't ranked very high, but then when you really look at the meta, I was like, okay, it's not ranked high overall, but that's really measuring every single battle.
Yeah.
And so, but if you really take it against the top picks, it definitely does a good deal. And there's a lot of teams that are running double grass, like you guys were saying. Okay, it's not going to beat the Cradily, but it's definitely going to beat Chesnaught, and maybe not a rock one. But
Yeah, but
I mean, Shiftry, it's going down. Bearthrown, it's going down.
Yeah.
I think if you run Firefang, you'll beat Cradily because it's neutral and you're bulky enough to take a Stone Edge, I'm assuming.
I was thinking I should run it with Ember, but maybe I should see with Firefang if it's.
I think obviously I've not looked at Ember because it's had the buff fairly recently. But I'm assuming if you because you'll get to a flame charge if you're running Firefang. It just you'll obviously they'll be close to a Stone Edge, but if you get that flame charge and live the Stone Edge, you should probably be able to Firefang down because it does so much damage.
Yeah.
A Stone Edge is doing a lot, but is it going to KO you? And Bullet Feed's not a high damage move.
Right.
I think it's a very interesting one.
Yeah, now I'm going to
I'm going to have I think I'll... Yeah.
I faced a couple in Nightfall and they're terrifying.
It's a nightmare.
And it looks obviously like a Litleo, and it looks unassuming, and you just think, well, you know what? I might. That's one thing. I'll make sure I've got something for it, but I don't necessarily need to prepare overly for it because I'll find a way around it. And then once they shield once, and they get that flame charge boost up, and things can get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, it's a bit like Mawile and Go Battle League.
Yes.
People run back with
man, don't say that. Now I don't like it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's it's something where it's not ranked high, so I get that, and it's probably if you put it into your team, your threat score is going to go up.
What slot's it in?
It is in the brown-pink slot, so you're going potentially against other fighters that are in there, or.
But again, it's sort of got that similar thing to Milotic, where if you wanted to pick something from the, typically you take your fire from the red slot, right? And then so if you decided you wanted something like Crustle or Electrode, or that you still wanted fire, there'll not be. I suppose there's Ninetales in yellow, but then you can't have Hypno. There can't be much of the fire knocking around, really.
Yeah, I think that's where it has some real good utility actually in using your fire typing from a different slot. That's and opening up that red slot for something else. That's nice.
I'm just going out and saying it. I'm so openly against Talonflame that I'm running Crustle just to oppose it. So I recognize that I'm making my team a little more RPS, but as you said, okay, fine, try it. And so with that, then I was like, okay, then I probably need to find a fire somewhere else in the slots.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't like Talonflame either. I really don't, but it's on my team because of how threatening it is.
Yeah, it's so broken good. That's what I hate about it. It's just and I have to admit, it does take some skill and that's probably why I hate it. I know myself using it. I mean, I overtap on Hypno. I can only imagine how horribly I would do with a 5-move turn.
I had a practice game with it the other day, and I was so keen to not overtap that I stopped tapping too early. Just sat there waiting for the energy to come through for about 3 seconds. As I die. But
also, that pressure that Talonflame puts on, you have to time your moves right against it. If you're half a turn over, they're getting 4.5 turns for free. And that is a huge issue. Because that's the difference between them not getting a Brave Bird and KOing you.
Yeah, I suppose then in that sense, you've got to have a real, if you are going to be taking Pyro, not Pyro, Litleo.
The little one.
The baby one. If you are going to be taking that, I suppose you probably want a real clear strategy of why you're taking that. And so as you see, you're taking Crustle, so yeah, fair play.
But in that regard, if you're taking both a Crustle and like a Litleo or something, I mean, because of its normal typing as well, then you're really opening yourself up to fighters.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you need to be able to counter that with other members
and
of
water. That sounds like a Whimsicott team waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be wrong, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you reckon, David? Any Litleo?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I like the idea of you picking your fire up from somewhere else, and I quite like the idea of Crystal kind of using it, in Talonflame slot. I tried to build a team with Crystal in it, but I don't know. I just couldn't. I really like its individual matchups, so I couldn't meld it into a team without it becoming that like RPS kind of. I kind of wanted to try and avoid, but I like the idea of the coverage definitely with Litleo, and it is a nightmare, if it's if it's managed to get that flame charge ramped up.
Well, and like Matthew said too, I mean, he's just kind of banking on people not bringing fighters or a counter user, and I really think if people aren't bringing a counter user, then this team is actually like pretty dangerous for them. Especially like these double grass users, they're going to think twice about going up against a fire typing.
Absolutely, and I suppose if you are, and it works well on a double grass team really, because especially if you're running Crystal with it, because of the water weaknesses, double grass is one of those off-putting factors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, unless there's any other thoughts about anything we've spoke about tonight, we can call it there.
I think looking at the moveset for Litleo, if you're planning on leading it or closing with it, Firefang has a higher win rate. Ember in the ones has something like a 5% more win rate. And obviously I can't look at the exact picks because it'd take forever, but I think as a lead with Flame Charge, obviously you can shield stuff, get that boost, and then farm down. Even if you go down a shield, they have to shield, like nothing can really come in and take a boosted crunch or a Flame Charge from it. So you're going to get that shield back. And then if you've still got health, they're going to have to like burn their energy. And then you're up, a Pokemon, maybe they're down 3/4 of their health. And you can just steamroll some teams. Obviously if they decide to bring double grass in the back and they lose the lead, obviously it's a terrible team competition, but you can just steamroll through them.
I've seen Stranger Things.
Yeah, definitely.
I hadn't thought about the with Firefang, but now I'm going to run some sims afterwards too, because I see definite potential for some steamrolling.
Was it in Gym Breakers where we played a team with it, Aaron, in Nightfall?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The guy, it was USA maybe as well, and I was like, some really really top player with a Litleo, and I was just like, what do I do here? It was just
I think I ended up running 3 counters to it because I knew I had to beat it. I knew it would be there. And the thing is, it like beat G-Fisk, and I was like, that's not on.
This shouldn't happen.
Acceptable. Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. Let's leave it at that then. So yeah, thanks so much, guys, for coming on at fairly short notice. Some interesting points tonight. A lot of spies, which is always nice as well. So yeah, thanks for coming on, and yeah, best of luck with the rest of the month.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thanks.
Later.
Yeah.
See ya.